So the next pattern we want to go through in this video is also the Gartley, right? It has one more point, right? So it's a 5-point structure, right? So it starts with X, A, B, and forms C and D, right? So there's also various criteria for this Gartley pattern, right? So you can see there's criteria 1, criteria 2, and criteria 3. What I want to share with you in this video, or mainly this webinar, right, is the technique to understand how to read this illustration. Right, so I'll be using this illustration and the criteria over here to show you how to do it. Okay, so if you look at this X, A, B, C, D, and you see different dotted lines, all right, what it means is that if you see B point and its dotted line is connected to to X and A, basically what it means is this B point has to be a retracement of 618 of your XA, right? So if XA price move this direction, right, price move from X to A, and then to form B, it has to retrace at least to the 618 of your XA leg. Alright, so that's what it means. And then if you look at C point and you see this dotted line joining to A and B, basically what it means is that C point has to retrace at least 382 to 886 of your AB, right, which you can see from criteria 2. Right, then if you look at D point, right, and you see this dotted line joining all the way until X point and A leg. So basically what it means is that this D point completes at a 786 retracement of your XA leg. Right, so you can see from this third criteria, your D point has to do a retracement of 78.6 or 0.786 of your XA leg. So how a Gartley looks like in the market, right, will be something like this. Right, so you can see your X, A, B, C, D, and then price actually respect this area and bounce off. Right, I'll be using a blank canvas to show you certain pattern. Okay, what we'll be going through first would be the Gartley pattern. All right. Okay, so put here just in mind. Okay, so the first step, okay, the fourth step, if you still remember, right? The first step, what we want to do is identify potential setup. Alright, second would be to predict completion point, right, or your PRZ. Then your third is to decide entry technique, and your fourth will be managing them, right? Execute and manage. Okay, so I'll just put here, right? So the first step we need to identify, right, assuming that we have this one, right, this leg itself. Okay, we start with an X, right? So then this will be our A point. So once we have this XA, right, the first step we want to do is to find our first criteria. So for Gartley, if you all remember, the first criteria itself is to have 0.618 retracement of your XA, right? So that will be your first criteria. So how we do it is we use the fibber here and we measure a retracement from the X point to the A point. Alright, and we want to look for 0.618. So if you look at this Fibonacci tool, right, 0.618 is this level. Alright, so this is the level in which we'll be interested at. Alright, so price has to come down to this level for a valid Gartley pattern. So if price does come down to this level, right, then we do have a B point. Alright, so I'll clear off that so it's clearer. So we do have a B point. Alright, so once we have this, what we want to do next is to look out for our second criteria. Alright, so for second criteria, if you still remember, basically is it has to retrace at least a 38.2 to 88.6 of AB. Right, so that's your second criteria, meaning if you measure from A to B, alright, what we are interested at is this area, 38.2 to 88. So it's a pretty wide region, meaning if price comes within any of this area, it is a valid one. Alright, so let's assume price comes into this area. So we do have a valid C point. What we want after this is the last criteria, right? Which is to criteria 3, which is to define our potential reversal zone. So for Gartley, it's a 786 of your X8. Right, so what we do is we again take the retracement tool and measure from X leg to A point. And what we are interested at is this level, right? The 78.6. So if price comes to this area, we do have a completed pattern. Alright, so then this will naturally be your D point. Alright, and if you want to draw in the triangle for visual aid, normally what it looks like is something like this. Right, so D point will be where you'll be looking to decide your entry technique and execute and manage your trade after that. Right, so this is how the steps of which we identify a Gartley pattern. So if you take this one, right, measure from the top to the bottom, what you see is that price comes to this 61.8. Alright, so if you recall correctly, if price comes to this 61.8 area, that's a valid potential Gartley pattern. Alright, so what we have is your, okay, I'll insert the text. What you have here is your X. Alright, let me extend it bigger. Alright, so you have your X point, and then you have your A point over here, right? So this is your B point. Alright, so we have identified your X, A, and B. Right, so the next step, what we want to do is measure your second criteria. So basically your first criteria has been met. What we want to do is to measure your second criteria. So your second criteria need to take retracement from your A leg to your B leg, and we want to take the area between 382 to 886. Alright, so what you can see is that price retrace and fulfill that area. So naturally you have your C point over here. Alright, then the last part, what you want to do is measure where your D point is, right? So if you remember, for Gartley, D point is a 786 of your XA leg. So what you do is you remeasure back your X to A. Alright, and what you are interested at is this level 786. Alright, so if you want to draw in the triangles, this is how it looks like. Alright, okay, so basically up to this, what we have done is first identify potential setup. Second step, define where price is going to complete, right? Define where PRZ is. Then you're left with two steps, right? Decide how you are going to enter and how you are going to manage your trade, right? So maybe what you can do is you want to enter a pending order, right? Right, as an enter pending here. All right, so well, I'm not giving you advice of entering here, but as an educational sharing purposes, we decide to enter here. All right, so if you want to enter here, basically this is your entry point, right? EP. Where are you going to put your stops or take profit level, right? Just now we went through that stops has to go 10 to 20 pips above your X point. So if you look at your X point, it's 134.17. So if you add another 10 pips above it, right? So your stops will have to go 134.27, right? So then I'll delete this. Alright, and basically this will be your stop loss level. Alright, clear so far? Okay, once we have our entry point decided, our stop loss decided, we need to decide where are we going to take profit, right? So just now we shared that normally traders, harmonic traders, take profit off the 382 as well as the 618 level. Okay, what we mean is you want to measure Fibonacci from your lowest point of the pattern, right? Lowest point of the pattern is your A point, all right? And we want to take it to where you enter. So you enter here, right? So this is the level of which Fibonacci you want to measure. And then the first level you want to take off is your 382. And your second level you want to take off profit is your 618, right? So if I change the color to green for take profit, right? So basically this will be your TP1. This will be your TP1. Okay. And this will be your TP2. Right? So that's basically how you manage your entry level, your stop loss, as well as your take profit level 1 and 2. Alright, so I hope this gives you a much clearer idea or illustration of how we identify the potential pattern, right? Predict where this pattern is going to complete, decide how we are going to enter the market, as well as how we are managing certain trades.